Welcome to Subramani. I have been doing a few videos about business people. So here's one on how to start a partnership. When two of my friends, let me call them SM and RG, started a business, they had decided what they wanted to do and how who will pay for the technology, how will they raise funds. But a lot of things they had left unsaid, and when the business ran into trouble, they had no clue what to do, and they went their separate ways. What did they waste? They wasted about 2-3 years of their time, some of their personal contacts. They wasted the time of people who left good jobs to join them, right? So a lot of this got wasted. So here it is, what I think should be spoken about when you start your business. So first of all, understand that a captain of a ship should have the final say. So even assuming that 3 classmates are starting a business, it's better that you have one person appointed as the CEO, so that the persons know that this is the guy whose neck should be had in case there is a problem. When you don't do this, the guy who is wanting to fund you gets a very confused feeling, saying, oh, these are friends who are just doing something together, like they're going on a vacation, or they're having they're singing songs or playing a game. This is one of the games that they're playing. None of them are serious about it, and that is not a very good sign. So in a partnership, yes, you are equal partners. Maybe one person is contributing more labor, one person is contributing more capital, whatever it is, between the two of you, or maybe 3 of you, you have to decide on one person as the boss, and the others have to listen to him when it comes to a final say. Will we go to court? Will we do an arbitration? Many of these things can be discussed upfront, but there's a warning: don't try to negotiate too hard and too sharp. Understand, in life, if you get a very one-sided agreement, the person who is at a negative will try to break it, or he'll just stop functioning, right? Something like that will happen. It cannot be too one-sided. It has to be good for both the parties, and the person who is senior should give in a little bit rather than try to exploit the situation of being the senior, or being the person to whom the other person will listen. Because once you start working, you're all equal, and then it could lead to frustration, anger, and things like that. So first of all, you have to make sure that many of the things that could happen, one partner could walk away, one partner could die, one partner could relocate and therefore not be available, or one partner could relocate and do the business the other place. So get to think of all these circumstances and what will about that, and see what will happen and how will you react. Because if you react to the situation after it has happened, you'll always feel it's unfair, right? So you decide that if one person relocates for 1 year, he'll get a salary which will be over and above the profits, because it will take time to establish it, right? So some of those things can be written down. But don't try to negotiate too hard, and don't try to cover everything. That's not possible. Some ambiguity is okay, because even after you have done a very, very thorough analysis and provisioning in the act, in the deed, or in a separate agreement between the two of you, there will still be some ambiguity, and that's okay. Don't try to cover everything. That is not going to ever happen. In no business can you expect everything. You can't predict everything and try to provide for it. Don't get into some very rigid policies or negotiate so fiercely that you break it before it even starts. But still, having said all this, plan for the unexpected. If your partner and his wife both die at the same time, how are you going to handle the children, right? Anything could happen like that, because given COVID times, all these things are happening. So what happens in the partnership, or even in the reason for the breakup of the Hindu undivided family, is one partner feels he is contributing much more than the other partner. So you decide that one partner, some partner might bring all his personal contacts. If it's, let's say, a restaurant business, one fellow will call up all his friends, set up a WhatsApp group and start supplying, and the other partner may not be so aggressive. He may not be a good salesperson. He may feel ashamed talking to his friends, expect that such things will happen. Expect to get, so you say we will share our rewards on the basis of sales, or we will distribute our rewards, let's say if you're professionals, on the basis of the gross revenue that we bring or on the net revenue that we bring, right? Any of these things are possible. So just think about it. There will always be one person who is underperforming, who will defend it, saying I was not well, my father was not well, or things like that, which may sound like excuses to the other person. So you decide that our appraisal will be done by an outside HR person. Perfectly all right. There is no point in creating something which will fail in 3 days time. So end of year appraisal and how profit should be shared, you could create a committee of one HR person and one chartered accountant who will decide who should be compensated how much. It's always nice to have a third party telling you what is right and what is wrong. One partner might expect to get compensated on the basis of time spent, and other partner might decide that he should get compensated on the results got, because he may be doing one sales call in a day and closing it, with the other guy may be doing 5 sales calls and closing 2 small deals. The other guy may be closing bigger deals. So based on all that, it will happen. So there will always be underperformance and unequal contribution. So the richer partner may contribute more money and he might say, I want interest on my capital because I've contributed more. Handle it, right? Partners should understand that all our documents, etc., are living and breathing. As long as we are living and breathing and we think that the document is unfair, we will break it, right? So that is very clear. The partners in most cases do not understand the importance of raising capital and the amazing amount of time and energy that it sucks. So if there is one partner who is who's got to do that, he's got to do that, and the other partner cannot say raising capital is not as important as doing sales. It doesn't matter. So check out all that. Entrepreneurs often make very great projections for the banker and very quickly start believing it. You have got to estimate the time for raising capital very, very carefully, and then multiply it by 2, because it takes time, right? You don't underestimate the capital needed for the business and for success, because during bad times you will need capital is like food for you, right? So create your plan assuming so much money will be raised, so much money will not be raised, right? So, and what happens if the money is not raised? How much of your personal finance will you bring into it? One guy may be more resourceful in terms of he may have a rich brother, sister, whatever, family, and the other guy may not have. Then you decide how you want to bring in, and you decide that if I bring in more money, will I be paid interest, right? So make sure that you have errors and omissions, insurance, director's liability, and all those things are covered, right? See if there are umbrella policies available for insurance, because talk to an insurance guy and find out what you require, because you were so far in service you didn't even realize that all these insurance policies exist. So go and get it, right? And realize that you will pay a lot more taxes. You could end up paying a lot more taxes. Be very careful about your taxation. Be very careful about GST registration, etc., right? Make sure that if there are difference of opinion, you have a bunch of friends, name them and say, we will go to these 2 people, 3 people and handle it, right? And also understand that all the advanced planning will not prevent conflict from happening. Find out how you will avoid these conflicts, and if there are disagreements, how will you avoid stalemates, right? A 50-50 partnership may mean one person is putting in a little more effort and that person is pulling away saying, I want to leave. So some partnerships can be structured as an office share, where you say, okay, I will bring in revenue, you will bring in revenue, we will share just the office expenses. Now that is more office share expenses rather than a partnership. So find out whether that is enough, whether you need each other in your business or you need each other just to share your expenses, which means you can add another person without hurting the business very much, right? So this happens among doctors, chartered accountants, lawyers, etc. You could even be a chartered accountant and a lawyer together practicing, right? Thank you.